Welcome to edition number 3 of the Commissioner's Corner. I am joined today by senior forward from the University of Minnesota, Grace Zumwinkle. Grace, how are you this morning?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for taking some time to chat. I got a lot of questions for you, so I think if you're ready, we're just going to dive right in, okay?
Sounds good to me.
All right, so what I really want to do is start by going backwards. Let's go back to last March when in some ways the sports world kind of just stopped abruptly. For some context, we were fortunate to finish our final face-off and crown a WCHA postseason champion, and we had 3 teams, of which Minnesota was included, that had advanced to the NCAA tournament. And you were 2 days away from getting a rematch with the Buckeyes on your home ice, and all of a sudden it's done and it's over. Can you walk us through kind of what the locker room was like and how those emotions played out?
Yeah, I would say that week was just a roller coaster of emotions. Like, you saw cases starting to pop up across the United States and not sure what that meant for athletics, professionally or collegiate for any fashion. And so seeing the NCAA bracket come out and us getting to play against Ohio State again, like, we were all pretty excited just with the factor that they beat us a few days prior. And so we actually had practice that day, and then some wind kind of got out that winter competitions were all getting canceled. And so we had a meeting in the locker room, and the coaches notified us of the announcement, and everyone was just super devastated. But like, in hindsight, a few weeks after, I mean, everyone was still disappointed, but you have to be grateful for your health and safety that you have right now. So that was kind of like a constant reminder for us.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think even for me, looking back, and if we had known then maybe what we know now, the mindset maybe would have been different, right? You maybe would have gotten to the appreciation piece a little bit faster, but in that moment, we had no idea what was coming for the next 8-9 months. And so I can imagine that the frustration and just the disappointment was so real. And on top of that, for you, I think it was about a week prior to that when the World Championships had gotten canceled, which, correct me if I'm wrong, was going to be one of your first opportunities with USA Hockey at that level. So it was kind of a combination of things happening. How did you handle that piece of news?
So yeah, like you mentioned, I think that was like a week prior. And I kind of like realized that, like, maybe with the international and like every country being in a different state, that things might look differently for that. But then I didn't know like how it would impact the collegiate. And so as soon as the Worlds got canceled, I was like, hopefully, like, we can still have the opportunity to compete for a national championship. And then that when that was taken away, it was more of like a double negative. So that was hard, but we're here now. So
Yeah, so we're here now. That's good. Let's transition. We're here now, finally, right? Some extended practice opportunities this fall because we had to push the season start back a little bit. So for a sport that typically doesn't have a lot of practice time before we can hit the ice for real games, what was it like to have 2 months or so of practice when you weren't really sure when the games were coming? How different was that for you?
I mean, it was a little differently, especially like right when you get on campus. It's like you hit the ground running, like testing practices, and then like sure enough, you know what, you're at the next, like, you're starting games. But our team kind of had some issues with cases early on, so we had people in and out of quarantine. But I think like it made us appreciate when our whole team was able to get back on the ice together, especially since we know like how infrequent it was.
Yeah, so you guys have been interestingly affected as we've gotten through this. Like you mentioned, as a team, some of your, COVID cases and some of the quarantines happened a bit earlier. Now we get the season started late into November and things are going all right. And then all of a sudden you have 2 opponents who aren't able to play based on what's happening at their institutions. And then we schedule change and you've got new games coming in. So how are you all kind of just managing it and staying flexible? How do you maintain the mindset to just take it day by day and see what comes?
So our coaches, like, the word for this year is flexibility. So like, I guess like always preparing for like what you might not expect to happen. So if that like might be a line change or an opponent change, like you always got to be ready for the unexpected. And I think that just like gives a credit to our coaches and just like in terms of how they're thinking about the year, but then also like as a team how we have to adapt and be flexible.
Yeah, that word flexible, it comes up pretty much every meeting we have because this, even though we've gotten started, we know that the rest of the season is going to continue to probably be similar to what we're dealing with now, and we're going to take things as they come. And I think it's just, at least from my perspective, been so exciting to see you all back on the ice when you've had the chances to be back on the ice. So excited about that. Let's talk a little bit about future plans for Grace. So tell us your major and what you're hoping to accomplish from a school perspective. And then what about hockey? What's the future of Grace and hockey look like?
So I'm a finance major and then minors in data analytics and supply chain. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of stuff. But probably like academically or career wise, I like want to do investment banking, which is like kind of like initial public offerings and helping mergers and acquisitions. But from a hockey perspective, I would like to be on the 2022 Olympic team and see what happens with USA Hockey moving forward.
I love it. If you say it and believe it, it's going to happen. There it is. Grace Zumwinkle, 2022 U.S. Olympic team. We're just going to say it, right? And that way we know it's going to happen. Good for you. So why Minnesota? Why the University of Minnesota? Why was it the right fit for you?
So ever since like growing up, I would always go to the games with my family, and like being from Minnesota, it's every little girl's dream to eventually play for the University of Minnesota. And as I got older and went through the recruiting process, I have an older sister who is like looking out east, so I just went on the recruiting visits with her, but I kept coming back to Minnesota because of like the coaches, the hockey, the academic opportunities. And so then when the opportunity came, I was super happy with my decision.
Yeah, easy. Was it an easy decision for you to make?
Yeah, it was pretty easy.
Awesome. Well, we've gotten to ourselves to this point where I like to call this little segment called This Is Me. So I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions about you so we can all get to know Grace a little bit better. So I just want you to give me the first answer that comes to your mind. Nothing too hard, I promise.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. How about favorite food?
Steak.
Nice. I like it. Good choice. I'm from Iowa. I like me a steak as well. How about favorite movie?
Oh, Miracle.
Oh, that's gross. Happy Connection. I
The
should have.
classic.
It is a classic. I just watched it with my kids maybe over Thanksgiving. It's been a couple weeks and it's now on repeat. Let's just say that. How about favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Why?
Because I mean, it might look differently this year, but it's usually a good time to see family and a nice break from hockey.
Yeah, there it is. It's been the answer of all three guests so far, and you're the first one though to say the break from hockey. So thanks for being honest. How about biggest fear?
Oh, dogs.
Really?
Yeah, I actually got bit by a Great Dane like a few weeks ago, so I still kind of have some PTSD from it.
You're gonna laugh when I tell you this. It's the same for me, but I was young. I was 9 and got bit by a big old Doberman and had never been the same since. So I appreciate there's someone else who also is okay to not like dogs. Dream vacation.
Greece or like a trip around Europe.
Both of which you can make happen, and you should do it, no doubt. Guilty pleasure TV show.
Suits. It's like a law show.
Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
I've never really watched it. Obviously, I know she was on it, but so you like it? You recommend it?
I highly recommend it.
Okay, like it. How about game day pump up jam?
I feel like I don't have like a go-to, but I'm more like a country. So anything country, really.
Okay. Favorite WCHA opponent and why?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would say Wisconsin or Ohio State. I feel like they get the best of us, and they're just like both really competitive games.
Best hockey memory?
Either the going to the Frozen Four. I mean, we fell short, but just like being able to experience it, and I felt like a newfound appreciation for, especially not being able to play or compete for it last year. But otherwise, winning U18 Worlds.
Both pretty good. Those are good memories. Okay, last one. This one might be the hardest. What's one thing nobody knows about you?
I would say I'm afraid of dogs, but like I feel like a lot of people do know about that about me. But I'm a very family-oriented person.
Nothing wrong with that. Fantastic. Grace Zumwinkle, our guest today on Commissioner's Corner. The Gophers are back in action Thursday and Friday of this week. They'll play at Minnesota State Mankato on Thursday and then home at Ritter Arena on Friday. Thanks for joining us, Grace. Good luck this week and wishing you a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you for having me.